In this module, we're going to look at creating technical drawings, sections through buildings that detail the elements. And up on the screen, I have our model of framed elements, just to give you an idea of what parts and pieces are involved in building. From the foundation, these are red pieces are cross sections of dimensional timber. They're just highlighted because that's how the way they'll be represented when they're in a section view. A lot of this will become clear as we go through it, but the idea is we have a wall that has, let's just zoom in here, we have a wall that has drywall on one side, a framing element. There's usually insulation stuck in here. There's the outside plywood sheathing on the building. And all these elements build up to be represented when we make a technical drawing. BIM modelers allow us to use walls that actually can contain a lot of this information for us and speed the way we draw. But we have to do some development work or some embellishment of those wall details. So I'm going to jump out to a new file and kind of describe what we have to do to get that kind of information from our section views. So I'm going to grab a wall tool, and I'm going to grab a generic wall. As soon as this is done saving, I'll make it a 6-inch wall. We're going to make a wood frame 6-inch wall, and I'm just going to draw a section of it just to indicate, just to show what the BIM modeler does when we pull a generic wall out. We have no interior components within it, and if I was to go to its to level 1 and cut a section, through this wall, zoom here so we can get in on it. I'm going to go to View, Section, View, Section, and draw a little section line through here. And it gives me an idea of the extents of where it's going to cut that section through. And it's made that section drawing for us over here on this side. And I'm going to click on that to go to that section view. And you'll see that's our wall. Now, sometimes you could look at a detailed wall and not see anything because of the amount of detail it's showing. So I'm going to show the detail it very fine to make it clear that there are no details in this wall. Let me also turn off the crop region just to keep the visuals from being too cluttered. Now, the idea here is we want to add thickness as a drywall of framing and the other elements that are in this wall. So I'm going to select it. I'm going to go and edit the type, and I'm going to make a new type of wall by just duplicating it. I'm going to duplicate it and call it exterior framed wall. Oops. Now my palette opened with a preview over here. Yours probably opened like that. And the difference is a selection of the preview button. What's important is we're going to start building these elements inside of here. So I'm going to go to this edit function. I'll go back again. I'll cancel that out just so you can see. We're going to, you would have, if you said edit type and duplicated it, you would have gotten this window. We'll open the preview, and then under structure, we're going to go edit. And now we're going to get a chance to add structure within this wall assembly. First thing I'm going to do is change the wall thickness of the main component to 5.5 inches. That's the nominal thickness of a 2x6 stud. It's a half inch thinner and also a ½ inch narrower. So let's add a few more layers. We're going to have at least 3 more layers, and I'll just go ahead and insert those right away. The outside layer will be siding. For the sake of this exercise, we're going to call that 5/8 of an inch. It's going to have a sheet of plywood. We're going to call that 1/2 inch. And then we're going to have the drywall on the other side. And right now, the stud is below that. So what I want to do is select this and move it down. And down one, yeah, there we go. And I'm going to give that a 1/2 inch value. Now I went through that really fast, but you could just stop the tape or just, you may have kept up with it. But so we have these 4 elements. Actually, this one I'm going to move up above the boundary layer. And that's going to be our siding. And next we're going to go ahead and label these. But I wanted to show you over in this view. I'm going to zoom in here now. And I want you to see what we've constructed. So we have the outside layer. If I click on this layer, that's where the plywood's going to be. If I click on this layer, that's where the stud is. And if I click here, that is the inside drywall. So let's go ahead now and give it material values, and that'll make the labeling much clearer. So I happen to open up my palette, and gypsum wallboard is the one that comes up highlighted. You may have to search for that. It really doesn't have to be gypsum wallboard, but what's important is that because it's identified as that, when we label it later on, the descriptor will come up saying gypsum wallboard. So I'm going to click OK with that, and you'll notice how its appearance has changed. We're going to go now to the outside sheathing, the plywood, and I'm going to look for plywood. I happen to have it in my palette, and I can select it, but you might have to go out and search for it by opening up the asset browser here, which I'm indicating is this little icon down below. I'm going to click OK, and we'll just click off of that. Now you'll see that's turned to a plywood color. And then we need this idea of the studs in between. So I don't think we have a stud material, so I'm going to make one. Let's see what we have is, yeah, let's make a stud. So I'm going to create a new material. I'm going to rename it. Wood stud. And I'll give it a little bit of an appearance by just giving it a little color. So we'll go ahead and edit the color, and we'll give it a little, the classical wood tone. Lighten that up a little bit, maybe make it a little yellower. Something like that. And we'll go ahead and apply that. And if I click off of it, well, that one's not rendering because I don't have a section color set for it. Let me go ahead and show you what I've done wrong with that. So we'll go to that wood stud again. And if I go to the appearance palette, we have set that color. Oh, that looks terrible. Change that again. And I'm going to go to the graphic palette, and we want a color for it when it's cut. We'll try to pick something close to the same thing again. And now we have, well, that's too bright. Make one more quick adjustment to that. It's a little greenish. Let's go with being a little silly fussy here. And there we go. So now we have all of our layers defined. And we won't actually see those in our technical drawing because those will be just line values. But I did want to show you how they're all separated off. So we'll click OK on that. And now if we go back and look at our wall section, I'm zooming in on it, you can see the drywall has a textured fill in it. Our sheathing is left off. But these are the start of what will be our drawing details. If I was to do these in realistic rendering, you could see that materiality in it. Let's do one more thing, and that's insert a window into this element. So I'm going to go back to level 1. I'll go to that section area, and I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to load up a specific window, and I'll provide that on the site. It's one that I used for the townhouses. So I'm going to grab that, and the reason I want to use that is that it has some nice characteristics that don't show up in some of the other, a little more detail in it. And we'll go ahead and place that in our drawing. So we'll go to our architecture window. So I just loaded that in. So I guess I should review. I went a little fast for that. Under insert, I went load family and went out to that resource to grab that window. I opened it. Oops, opened it, it was already open. It's now imported, it's showing up here. If I go now to architecture, go to window, I can then insert that window into our drawing. And I placed it over the area where the section is, so that now if we go to that section view, we can now see that window inserted into our drawing. And I'll go back to a typical hidden line rendering of it. So there we can see the inside trim of the window, we can see the sill and the head of our decorative window, the double hung window frames, and the glass in between. So now we have the start of adding a lot of rich detail into our building sections that we cut, our wall sections and other elements that we might want to cut. In the next section, we'll pick up on this and add the foundation and the concept of building a stack wall, similar to the project we've already done with the townhouse.